Hi everyone, it's Grungy Girl Journals, Lori B, and I am sitting here on this beautiful Saturday afternoon about 2, uh, well, my Mickey Mouse watch is on upside down, and I think it's wrong anyway. I think it's like 2:45, and I just sat down and set everything up and thought I'd sit here for a couple of minutes and maybe think of something that really awesome that I can talk about. Um, so guess what? I didn't. So hopefully my big cup of coffee, which is really only like a third full, will help me out with my energy and my words today, and I can get through this flip through. And by the way, if I sound like I'm whispering, it's because the mic is it's right there. It's like this far from my mouth. So if I'm screaming, I apologize. I don't mean to. So let's just get right into it. All right. This one is called The Beekeeper's Wife. And I kind of came up with that last minute. I thought maybe, just something along the beekeeper, or something like that. And then as I went through it, although it's not overly feminine, really at all, it gears more towards just kind of a woman's point of view. So this is how I came up with the name of her, which is The Beekeeper's Wife. And I don't know if you've seen any of my previous videos from, I think it was last year. I did a notebook. It was just a regular notebook with blank pages, and it was a bee themed, but the only, just the front cover was actually anything to do with bees. The rest of it was blank. And I put it in my Etsy, and it didn't sell for a long time. I mean, like a year. So I finally just took it out, and I decided to rework it. Now, mind you, at first I decided I was going to fill it, because it was all blank pages. And then as I got to messing with it, I was like, well, maybe I can do this to the front cover, and maybe I can take this off and then put it here. And before I knew it, I had the whole thing completely torn up. And the only picture I could find of it was actually on my Etsy, in my inactive portion of Etsy. Let me see if I can get this to where you can see it. There it is. I know you can't see it very well. I wish I had editing skills to where I could just insert picture here in the video, but I cannot figure it out. So I would like to ask that if anybody out there in this beautiful community has a video editing program for a PC, I just have a regular, I don't even know what it is. It's I don't know. It's just a laptop. If you can tell me what awesome, extremely inexpensive or free editing program you know of, please let me know, because I have no clue. I tried to do it with the program that comes on this PC, and my brain just wasn't having it. So anyway, I can't insert picture here because I don't know how to do it, and you can't really see, but it's a notebook. It's a soft bound, and what I did was I did my ribbon, I did my ruffles. I usually do them in paper, but I did them in ribbon instead on that particular journal. And so it was just ruffles all the way, you know, all the way around the journal. And so I was like, well, what about if I pull this? What about if I cut this off? What about if it's not so many ruffles? Blah, blah, blah. And like I said, I had it completely, and I mean completely torn apart. Paper was torn. I had it in my hair. You know, my cat was running off with some of it. I mean, it was just a mess. So I was determined to use it though, because I'd spent a very long time on that cover, and I just wanted to kind of, you know, honor it by coming up with something new for it, and that's what this is. So without further ado, this is a 2-ring bound journal, and it's probably I didn't measure it, but it's probably around 9 by 5.5, and I used a lot of different size papers, just, you know, to give it a good layering. Just gives it more depth. And so when I open it up, you'll start to see what I'm talking about. So this is just some seam binding that I dyed, and I will tell you more about that at the end of the video. I'm going to give a couple of my tips. I thought of a couple of tips that I could give you, just little tiny ones, and I'm going to start writing those down as I think of them, and then at the end of all of my flip throughs I can give a couple of little tips. So that's just seam binding, and it's a lot of seam binding, and I've just, you know, crisscrossed it and tied it. That's it. We've got this really cute tag that I rusted, and it says investigate. You can see it in person, but it's sealed with some wax so it won't come off in your hand, and that's just tied on there. Next is this, and you might recognize the clip that was on the notebook, and also this portion, this piece right here was the front of the book. It was a lot longer than this, and when I open it up, you'll see that is where I tore it. So this is just the little front piece of the book, and some of the pieces still had the ruffles on them, so I just left them on there. And there's little touches of this ribbon throughout the book that were just little pieces that I had gotten from the other. Here's a little button, and this is actually a, you know, those bags that you put your dirty wash in. That's one of those bags. I got it new, I think at the dollar store, and kind of looks like a honeycomb. So I usually use that when I'm making bee journals. This is an original from the notebook. Can you see it? Here we go. So this has, I bet you're wondering what this is. This is a little snap closure, and I will also show you that at the end of this video. I don't want to quite show you that yet, but what this was it was a finding, a jewelry finding, and it was a piece of leather that had, you know, that had a snap, and it was 2 pieces. And I just took some paints, some acrylic paints and some inks and some waxes and scruffed it up and made it look kind of rusty and patinaed. But I will show you the inside. This opens up and there's something underneath. This is just a piece of lace, and there's a piece of canvas underneath that. I don't think I said this is an old chandelier piece, glass chandelier piece. Here's a vintage tassel, and I love this key. I didn't have to rust this baby, it came like this. Here, I believe I posted this on Facebook when I was working on it. I hadn't glued it all together yet. It says, your mind will always believe everything you tell it. Feed it faith, feed it truth, feed it love. And throughout the book, I also did a little stenciling with this fabric. I just used my ink, you know, my ink whatchamajigger and my ink pad, and I just went around in various places in the book and stamped that. Sorry about the noise. And I love this paper. This is you know, a designer paper. I believe I got this at Hobby Lobby a couple of years ago. Very, very pretty paper. Oops, I missed a page. Did I? Oh, Lordy. Okay. So I've just got, you know, bee ephemera. Things you can write on the back of. A card from 1916 and 1917 on the back. Here's a pretty bee with a metal crown. And I love these clips. This one says Findings. And this is an old cabinet card. It's a digital. Okay, where'd that come from? And here's just some more ephemera. Different beehives, bee nests. It's going to make a lot of noise, isn't it? I'm going to take this off. And every page has been reinforced. And I will put in the description box below where I got my digitals. Some of them are from Etsy, and some of them are from just online sources that are copyright free. And that's where I happen to get this one. There's a little bee there in the sunflower field. And I took this page out of an old book, and it's called The Tale of Jenny Martin. And of course, I read it, and now I can't remember what it was about. It was something about a girl named Jenny Martin, and she was poor. She was from the south of England, and she was wandering around, and she came across a little white mouse. And the mouse said, Don't take me home with you. Your cat will get a hold of me. Leave me here. I'm the queen of mice, and I will reward you for your kindness. And she says, what will you give me then? Anything that you like to ask for. So it goes on, and she has, you know, the first thing she asks for is a pretty farm to go home to. So that night she went home and there was a pretty farm. And then she decided that wasn't enough, that she should have asked for more. So she ends up going back 3 or 4 times. And then there's a moral to the story. Oh, where's page 2? Where's the rest of it? Oh yeah, this is the rest of it. Okay. All right. And see, and she asked for a king to fall in love with her and to ask her to be his queen, which he did. And I'm going to go ahead and give you a little spoiler. That wasn't enough either. So this is just a cute little story that you can read. And there's a little piece of that ribbon ruffle. The tattered remains. Here is a sunflower that I actually received from my son. I got a flower bouquet from him, and it had all sorts of different flowers in it, and it had 2 sunflowers, and I was thrilled because I love sunflowers. It's not my favorite flower, but it's up there, and so I put that in there because it's a nice pop of color. I'm going to take some coffee. Oh, excuse my swallow. And that's just a piece of, acetate packaging from packaging. And I love this quote. There's quite a few quotes in this book. Into the daybreak, that's wonderfully clear, I rise. And that's Maya Angelou. And this is actually a Japanese print. It is something that I got from a copyright-free site. And there's bees all over the place. And I just treated that with some Patty Pockets stains to kind of give it a rustic look. And this is the Beekeepers Journal, so it's more geared to what she would keep in here and what she finds interesting, and little tidbits here and there she's holding for her husband. Like where you get your bee supplies and things like that. She's holding on to those little cards and things so that he doesn't forget where he got his supplies from. And she just loved this, as I do. And she wanted to keep that in here. It's called Specimens in Handwriting. And I did a couple of little books, just a little minis, and they just have blank pages. And this is actually, what does that say? Beekeeping. It's just like it was the cover of a manual. And I used a honeycomb pattern on the back. And this is a piece of a dolly that I cut off. These are just pieces and parts of different things. And tassel. And this tassel was from the original notebook that I did. Just repurposed it. And this comes off. It's a paper clip. Some faux vintage tape. This pocket took me forever just because I wanted to get it right, and it took a while to get it right. These are just little pieces of ephemera that I got from an Etsy seller, and I collage them all together, and it's a pocket. And up here it says, the right people will hear you. The right people hear you differently. And I don't know who said that, but I like it because it's true. If you find the right people in your life, they're gonna hear you the way you want them to, and the way you really are. And I like that a lot. It's just a little tag I made. And this one says, we got 'em. And it's just a little advertisement about golden Italian bees, queen bees. So this is another actually Etsy download digital that I found, and it's just doodles, and I love them. That's all it is. I don't think I made this a pocket. I just tied the two pieces together with some seam binding. Here's another book. It's a rent book. And it's blank. The original one, all the pages looked like this. No, wait, this is a time book. Time for the month of, I guess it could be a rent book. I don't know. It's just empty pages. Did a little machine sewing. Another tag. Beekeeper supplies. And some flower plates. Right on the back. It says generosity right here. And this is actually a flip up. Here's some more of that ribbon from the old book, notebook I made. And this says, I like flaws. I think they make things interesting. I don't know if you can see that. That's by Sarah Dessen. And there's a couple of tuck-ups right here. This one tells you where to get some honeycomb foundations. I think it was too big, so I just split it in half. That's the rest of it. But this is a piece of waxed paper, parchment paper. I attached it with some rivets and a piece of wax thread. And that's just a frame that I believe that's French dictionary writing. This is just a sweet little feather. And I believe this girl knows her arithmetic, so more power to her. And that doesn't come out. It's just a piece of some leaves, some more of that ribbon. And I thought this was funny. This is I guess it's a library card, and it's about the chronopathogenics of maladies, allergies, and it's in French. And you know, allergies, flowers outside, bee stings, allergies. So it found a place in the Beekeepers Wife's journal. And all the paper clips are rusted. Here's where you can find some beeswax. It's just an old illustration. Here is a envelope, and she at one time was interested in collecting stamps, so this is just full of different stamps. And here she was when she was younger, and it says she wasn't bored, just restless between adventures. And I glued some of my bouquet that I had gotten from my son on there. And this is an old frame. And this is the image that I used on the front of the book. This is a little card. This is an envelope. And she got darn good pickle somewhere. Some more floral prints right on the back. And this says imperfection is a form of freedom, and that's by Anne Go. It's a little book. Okay, I need some more coffee. I am so sorry about my energy level. Good grief. I just spilled it on myself. Do you like my cup? Yes, it matters. Some more ephemera. This was a calendar. And like I said, I will put all of the information below that I can remember where I got these digitals and things. This is Miss Angie Garcia. This is some of her original artwork, and I love to use it. I already had one printed out, so the girl drew this herself, or painted. I absolutely love it. Angie Garcia. I will list that below. Just love it. And here's just some more ephemera. And I used a lot, excuse me, I used a lot of different greens. I didn't stick with one green. Really all shades of green, even some that you don't think may go together when you put them all together with different patterns. And I mean, it just all flows very nice together. Here is I don't know if you can see it, there's some like tulle lace in there. And I did this frame with the the rock candy from Tim Holtz and some distress inks. And this says, there is no exercise better for the heart than reaching down and lifting people up. J. Holmes. Very, very true. These cute little cards. I believe these are Tracy Fox. This is some vellum pocket. And I put some of Tim Holtz Distress Wax on it, and it made it even more clear. So I really like that. And this is just a note card I got from a sweet friend. And it is blank, and the colors are gorgeous. So I wanted to put that in here. It goes perfectly. And this is just an old original check for $7.86. This is another ad about finding some, the finest Italian bees and queens. And here's just some little things you can play with if you want from some junk mail. And all of these have to do with bees, you know, colonies, bookkeeper, sting, beeswax, a whole bunch in there to play with. You can add them to the book wherever you like. And this is kind of a tuck up. It did need a little help though, so I used that paper clip, which is an owl clip. I love using those. This is out of a journal ledger. This says be messy and complicated and afraid and show up anyway, Glennon Doyle. Now I figure I have the messy part down and I have the complicated part down, and I wouldn't say I'm afraid, but I mean, I am a little scaredy cat sometimes, so I kind of got that one down. The only thing I need to work on is to show up anyway. I try my best, but I'm not quite there yet. I'm getting there, but I really love this quote because it tells you that it's okay. Be messy and complicated and afraid and show up anyway. Some old buttons that I sewed on. This was from a doily runner, I believe, as well as this. And this right here is a little metal piece that says, be true to yourself. You can tell I like the quotes. This is just a piece of lace. And it's one of my favorite digitals. So pretty in person. And this is the Beekeeper's Wife's mother, I think. Just based on the timeline. I mean, this picture looks pretty old, so I'm going to go with mother. I think this is too old. I think she's a little too old to be the Beekeeper's wife, but hey, she can be whoever you want her to be. This is a beautiful picture, and this is just a digital that I got on Etsy. Some more arithmetic right there from a very, very old book from the 1800s. And there's the queen bee herself. And you can do some writing in here. And then this is a bag. It's just like I wouldn't call it a glassine bag, just a craft paper bag. And the very last page, here's my little mascot. There I am. Messy and complicated, and maybe a little afraid. She doesn't look very afraid though. And a keep this book clean. And this is actually from a sanatorium, so that fits in very well with me. And here's a library pocket with a bee and I have dated it and signed it. And then on the very, very back, I used, this is a beeswaxed paper that I machine sewed around the edges, and I made this little latch opening. It's a button there on the end, and it's a pocket. There's just some more ephemera. I believe this is original ephemera. It's our electric bill. And this is just made out of paper. And that is it. Nice and grungy, and you can tell it's been around a while. Let me get this back in here. It's driving me crazy. I'm at 35 minutes. I'm already 10 minutes over what I like to be. Are you gonna? Oh, there it is. It goes like that. Right there. I'll fix that later. I just had to fix that. And now I'm going to open the front. So, like I said, this was pieces of the original notebook, blank notebook that I had done, and I tore apart. And I wanted to make it something really special. So, what I did was I used some pressed flowers, and there's some of that acetate right there, and just did a little collage on the inside. This is actually a key ring, and this key right here came off of that. And then this is some bee material that I had received, and I'm not sure if I'm going to stitch something in here. I don't want to put any more bulk at the very beginning of the book, so it will have to be something that's sewn, a piece of fabric, or just stitch some doodles on there. And that's fabric covered cardstock. I hope that was worth waiting for. And now I think I've already given you one tip, which was using the wash bags, as some fabric you can use. It's very sturdy. It's made out of nylon, so it inks well. The ink stays on it, and I love it. So I did use it in a couple of places. So that's one of my tips. I guess another good tip would be, if you rust metal, a good alternative to spraying them with your clear coat, Rust-Oleum or whatever, you can use some clear wax, and it'll just give you a nice, if you can buff it to a nice sheen, like a satin sheen. And let's see what else. Did I show you? I don't even know if I showed you. I didn't show you this page. I skipped it. Here's the beekeeper. Here's the beekeeper's wife. And she has flowers in her hair, and this is from a veil, an old veil. So I use that, and this is an actual cabinet card. He's very handsome, and she's very pretty. And this is just some more of that. I believe I got this from the doodler, the doodling digital lady. And these are these open, and these are just washers that I stitched onto a piece of cardstock. Kind of looks like leather. and those help keep these closed. And this has a little piece of fern, and you can write in here. And then this one's blank. There's nothing in here, but you can put something in there. And those just tuck up like that. And these are actually the inside cover to that bee notebook that I referenced before. It got torn up and I wanted to use it, so there they are. I hope I didn't skip any more pages. I don't think I did. So there you have it, and all you do is just wrap the seam binding around it, and you don't even have to do that if you don't want to. And if you want to add to this, you can get some bigger rings or contact me and I can send you some bigger rings. I don't think it'll be necessary for a while, but very cute. Thought of another little tip. If you want to have cute ways to store your buttons, I got this at a flea market, and it's got a nice wide opening. So I put all my little tiny buttons in there, and I have several of these. Here's one that's not as old, and these are little tiny shank buttons. And then I have a real big jar right here of buttons. Say hi to Louie. And one other tip I can tell you, it's getting really dark in here. My seam binding. This is the seam binding that was on the book. And the way it started out was just generic seam binding. It doesn't even have a name. I got it on eBay. And I don't know in the sliding if you can tell the difference between these two colors. Yeah, I think you can. This is the same seam binding. Although the color, the original color is a beautiful green, like a cargo green, I guess you could say. It's got a little more blue in it. I wanted something a little more rustic and green, so all I did was ball these up pretty much just like this, you know, longer, and then I safety pinned them together and I soaked them in tea for about 3 days, and it just turned this beautiful color of green and gave me some nice little tea stains on there. So that's another little tip. I guess that's it. I hope you like her. I'm not 100% positive, but I believe this one is already spoken for. She expressed interest a couple of weeks ago, actually, when I had just started kind of building the book and posting on Facebook and Instagram. So I believe this one is sold. However, if you are interested, if that falls through, I can put you next on the list. So please just leave a comment below and let me know if you're interested. And please, if you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and tell all your friends to come over and subscribe. I love new friends, so I guess that's it for today. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm going to finish my coffee now, and then I'll probably take a nap. Bye-bye.